Recordings in progress. Okay, let's pray to the Lord. Namo Om. Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Sunyavadi. Prashtatara Sataline. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nithananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I was just looking where we left off 2 weeks ago, a few verses I was reading, and we're speaking about all what is being spoken about is the Lord's incarnations and his different manifestations, and specifically as he appears to a devotee. And he appears to the devotee according to the devotee's particular devotion. So the Lord manifests in that way one of his actual forms, which are eternal. And interesting, it's very given some interesting details here in Brhat Bhagavatamrta, describing that the devotees in worshipping the Lord, in their progress, they develop affection and attachment for the Lord. And when they reach perfection in their devotion, then they go to the abode where the Lord is actually manifest. And that same experience is there, but it is obviously at that stage of perfection. It is unending and ever increasing transcendental happiness in their service to the Lord. So, and that's what's basically being described at the moment, the different incarnations of the Lord and how they manifest to a devotee. And yeah, anyone else remember any other details? Like, yeah. Okay, let's just get into it. Let's jump into it. So we're going to begin today from let's just go from 161 again. We left off there last reading. So we need some enthusiastic volunteers to read.
I can read, Prabhu.
Go ahead. Thank you. 161 to 162. And we're just doing translations here. Bhagavatamrta. Also, you're quite welcome if you're infused to have a go at this script. You can, but if not, translations.
That's fine. I'll do the translations. Thank you. Okay. Thus, all the Krishna, his associates, and his abode are seen in its various forms in different places, and in dreams and other special states of consciousness. They are with perfect consistency, one although many, and they are always real. When any one of his forms is satisfied, so too are all his others. Commentary. If one worships Krishna in any of his forms, whether they reside in Vaikuntha or any other of his abodes, one satisfies all his expansions. All the devotees of the Lord's plenary expansions therefore have great fondness and regard for one another.
Okay, because it's one person in different manifestations. So, yes. Okay, go on 163.
163. That one Lord of Vaikuntha, Shri Krishna, resides in various places and appears in many forms just to give pleasure to all of his multitude of servants. Commentary. The Supreme Lord has a multitude of devotees to satisfy, and that is the fundamental reason he appears in so many different forms. He assumes forms like Dharma, Nandana, and resides in abodes like Badrik Ashram to give pleasure to devotees such as Sri Narad. And as implied by his suffix adi, in tad rupadina, it displays various kinds of bodily ornaments, pastimes, and so on. Narad ascribes such greatness to the Lord of Vaikuntha, because Lord Narayan, like Krishna in Goloka, is Avitari, a source of expansions and incarnations. With this idea in mind, Narada in this verse calls Lord Narayana by the name Sri Krishna. The use of the name Krishna subtly implies that Sri Krishna in Goloka is the most glorious of all the Lord's forms.
All right, let's just yeah, we could just read through, but let's just stop a minute. Is there anyone heard of Dharma Nandana?
No.
Oh, no, have I? Yeah, so described in Bhagavatam, Avatariya Shankya, that there's many incarnations of the Lord as there are waves in the ocean. Yeah, so it's unlimited. So here's one form we're hearing of. By mate Dharma Nandana. And this is in Badik Ashram. Yeah, that's where Srila Vyasadeva resides, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And sometimes it's even in the Bhagavatam, it speaks of different forms of the Lord, especially in Badik Ashram, actually. And sometimes it's meaning deity forms of the Lord. Sometimes it refers to the Lord, and sometimes it refers to the Lord's appearing in the form of a particular deity. So I think that might be the case here. Dharmanandana, and resides in the boat, I think. So a philosophical speculation. Yeah. And yeah. And yeah, so it's interesting point as well that all the incarnations of the Lord are the Lord. Lord are the Lord. But having said that, then Krishna, the form of Krishna, is the most glorious of all the Lord's forms. Right? So the one, and that form of Krishna, although they're all eternal, it gets a bit inconceivable. They're all eternal, but all manifestations exhibiting different potencies, which are all within Krishna. So he is the most glorious of all forms. It says here. So if you're worshipping Krishna, you're worshipping all the forms of the Lord in one sense. Krishna in Goloka, so specifically Krishna in Goloka is the most glorious of all forms. Right? Okay, so please continue reading. Of course, please, anyone, any further comments or questions? It's good to try and, as we're reading, to try and understand as much as possible what's being described.
Okay. Text
Yes.
164. Shall I start, Prabhu?
Yes, go ahead.
Sri Brahma perceived this truth when he spoke Krishna's boys and calves in the forest of Vrindavan, and I realized it while wandering among his many palaces in the city of Dwarka. Commentary. Narad now strengthened his presentation by citing the personal experience of self-realized authorities, namely himself and his father, Lord Brahma, as described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahma stole Krishna's young cowherd friends and calves. The one Supreme Lord Krishna then expanded himself into the form of all the boys and calves just to keep their mothers happy, the gopis and cows. 1 year later, Brahma returned and saw each of the boys and calves suddenly assume the form of Lord Vishnu. No one should think that only the original form of Krishna was real, and his expanded forms as boys and calves were mere reflections produced by Maya. Brahma's own perception contradicts that idea. The Vishnu Murtis all had eternal, unlimited forms, full of knowledge and bliss, and existing beyond the influence of time. Their great glory was not even to be touched by the Gyanis engaged in studying the Upanishads. Bhagavatam 10:13:58. As this incident confirms, the Supreme Lord is always real, whether he be one or many. Brahma thus prayed to Lord Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-18, after being baffled in his attempt to fool Krishna. Have you not shown me today that both you, yourself, and everything within this creation are manifestations of your inconceivable potency? First you appeared alone, and then you manifested yourself as all of Vrindavan's calves and as the cowherd boys, your friends. Next you appeared as an equal member of four-handed Vishnu form, who were worshipped by all living beings, including me, and after that you appeared as an equal number of complete universes. Finally, you have now returned to your unlimited form as the supreme absolute truth, one without a second. In other words, Brahma that day asked Lord Krishna whether Krishna had not indeed shown him the illusory nature of the material world. Krishna is personally present in this world, created by Maya, which is unsubstantial, like a dream or flight of fancy, and he displays himself within this world of Maya in not only one but many different forms. But that day, by disguising himself as his cowherd friends and calves, Krishna made Brahma see the world as if Krishna were not present, even though he always is. Every form Krishna assumes is real because he and his expansions are the supreme absolute truth. First Brahma saw Krishna alone, then in the form of all the cowherd boys and calves, and these then became four-armed Vishnu form, worshipped by all the beings of creation, subtle and gross, including Brahma. Brahma saw as many Vishnus as there were boys and calves, and each Vishnu was being served by all the casual elements and visible objects of the entire universe. In effect, then, Brahma saw a universe for each boy and each calf, and finally he saw only the unlimited Supreme, one without a second, as all the forms of Vishnu merged back into one, leaving only Krishna, the Supreme Brahman. Lord Brahma realized that all these appearances were equivalent, since they were all untouched by the illusion of Maya and her energies.
Okay, just pause there for a minute. This is quite a lengthy purport. Wow, it's a few pages. All right. So I'm sure we're all familiar with that pastime, isn't it? It's known as Brahma Vimohan Leela. And you can read that in the Krishna book. And it's quite a wonderful pastime, especially what's being explained here. When the Lord, as we know, he manifests as the calves and the cowherd boys, but they were actually himself as being described here. Then all of a sudden, all those calves and cowherd boys manifest into four-armed Vaikuntha forms. And each one of those forms, of which there was many, was being worshipped by all the elements and all the elements personified, and all the living entities in the universe were worshipping one particular form of Vishnu. And then the other forms were being worshipped again by all the living entities in the universe and all the personification of the elements. So you can try and picture that in your mind's eye. That's to actually see that. So that's what Brahma saw. That first he saw the four-armed Vishnu forms, and I think it's described. Perhaps I'll have to reread it again. But it's described that even the blades of grass took on personified forms, and were offering prayers to each of the manifestations of Vishnu. And sometimes it's described how, as is described here, then all the form, after being completely astonished and humbled, all these forms kind of went into Krishna. and Krishna is sitting there in his form of Krishna, smiling mischievously at Brahma with some yoga in his hand and just smiling, enchantingly smiling at Brahma. And it's described that Brahma is kind of rubbing he's got 4 heads. So he's rubbing his forearm, he's rubbing his eyes, and he has been humbled, you know. Brahma Vimohan Leela. So Vimohan means to be bewildered. So then Brahma, he comes to his senses and he realizes who he is dealing with. So nice that this is given an example here. And here we're hearing that it's Narada speaking, it seems, isn't it? Narada who's relating this pastime of Brahma, Vimohan Leela. And now he's going to describe his own experience of the Lord's different forms. This is also in Krishna book. You can read about this. All right, so we're going to hear about that now. Okay.
Like when Yashoda
Go on.
looks in Krishna's mouth and she sees all this, everything when he's eaten the dirt.
Yeah, that's another wonderful pastime. Yeah, she looks. Yeah, she looks into baby Krishna's mouth and sees all the universes, and then she sees herself. She sees a picture of herself looking into Krishna's mouth. So Krishna, and then she becomes a little bit philosophical. Yeah, she becomes struck. Who am I? I'm thinking I'm mother. I'm thinking I'm Krishna's mother. What is this? You know, she becomes quite philosophical. Then Krishna again manifests his sweetness. And any other examples of Krishna manifesting his different inconceivable forms? I think in Chaitanya Charitamrita it's there a couple of times when he's exhibiting his Mahaprakash. Sorry? Oh, that's a muting needed.
Stealing.
Nitai Mat is trying to say stealing. All right, stealing. Sorry, cannot hear you.
Is that when he sits on the altar in Srivasa's house?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
takes
that's it. Yeah.
and everything.
Stealing the prasad, stealing the offering. The Mahaprabhu comes and
Oh, you know that pastime when what's his name?
you know, and also Lord Chaitanya appeared as was it Nrsimhadev? Oh no, Varaha.
Yeah, he appeared as Brhat. That was to Murari Gupta.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was to Murari Gupta. Yeah, so he manifests as Varahadev.
Yeah.
Chankazi, Nrsimhadev on his chest.
Yeah, Chankazi, he appeared as Lord Nrsimhadev. I was thinking more of revealing many, many forms at once, like Brahma Vimohan Leela, different expansions.
Yeah, when he subdued the bulls.
When he subdued the bulls, yeah, seven. He manifests into 7 forms, yeah. And also when he's dancing with the gopis, isn't it?
Yes.
He manifests in between each and every gopi. And they're actual Krishna forms himself. Yeah. This is described also by Sanatana Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. Lord Chaitanya's teaching to Sanatana Goswami, speaking about the different forms and manifestations of Krishna. Yeah, so all right, let's read on then. We're going to hear about Narada Muni's visiting the palaces of Krishna in Dwarka. Okay, carry on, Mother Anupama.
Okay. When Narad visited the thousands of palaces of Krishna's queens in Dwarka, Dwarvati Puri, He too saw for himself the simultaneous oneness and variety of the Supreme Person. Wandering from one palace to another, in each palace he saw a separate Krishna acting in a different way. This does not mean that Krishna was factually only in one palace and appeared in illusory forms in the others. Did Krishna's devoted servants deserve to be cheated in such a way as we didn't care enough to be truthful with them? Would Krishna act in such a duplicitous way, the same Krishna who is the best of compassionate benefactors, the ever-concerned caretaker of his devotees, and the surrendered servant of his servants? Surely not. Nor should anyone suppose that because different residents of Dwarka simultaneously saw Krishna in different palaces, the visible fact disapprove that Krishna is one. If Krishna was not one, the millions of Yadus could not have cooperated with one another so well to reciprocate with him. Moreover, every day when Krishna left each of his palaces to attend the Sudharma assembly, a single Krishna, not 16,108 different Krishnas, arrived at the hall. When Narada visited Dwarka, Krishna kindly allowed him to witness his daily activities in the palace of each queen, as Sukdev Goswami describes in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:69-41. As in every palace, Narada saw the same form of the Lord, carrying out the transcendental principles of religion that purify those engaged in household affairs. And at the beginning of the same chapter of the 10th canto, 1069-2-3, Sukdev says, Narada thought, it is quite amazing that in a single body, Lord Krishna simultaneously married 16,000 women, each in a separate palace. Thus the sage of the demigods easily went to Dwarka to see this for himself. Narad was eager to go to Dwarka to see Krishna in his palaces, only because Krishna had married 16,000 princesses all at the same time, while remaining in one and the same body. Had Krishna married his queens by expanding himself into 16,000 duplicate forms, Narad's eagerness would not have been so aroused, since Narad and other masters of mystic yoga, like Subhari, are also able to expand themselves into duplicate forms. It was by sharing Krishna's own mystic power to appear in expansions, actually identical, that Sri Devika Vasudev, Uddhav, and other devotees had also been present simultaneously with Krishna in several different palaces, as Narad had witnessed. Therefore, Narad was correct when he told Gopakumar, Krishna, his associates in his abode, are all with perfect consistency, one although many, and they are always real.
Okay. Inconceivable. And that's how the next verse begins. Inconceivable indeed. Yeah. Still, we can try our best to try and comprehend, but difficult to completely understand.
And more, what's interesting is that he doesn't even move from Goloka Vrindavan. And this is all happening. He's just there, playing his flute, doing his pastimes.
Yeah. It's not as if Goloka becomes empty when Krishna leaves. Yeah. So Krishna expands himself. Also, he expands himself into our hearts as well, isn't it? As the Paramatma.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where it's described that he expands himself, and his actual whole self is the whole of material creation. It's all his energy is all expanding from him. But here we're seeing it actually in the personal form of Krishna. He expands that personal form. And I think, as far as they understand, it wasn't the queens. Each queen thought that Krishna was exclusively with her. It wasn't as if the queens were aware of Krishna's expansion of 16,108 forms. So that meant that each of the queens felt very transcendentally happy and proud. that Krishna is with me. But unbeknown to each queen, Krishna was with every one of the queens, all 16,108.
Same as dancing with each gopis.
Yeah. Also, is not exactly the same, but when all the different Lord Brahma, he was a bit taken aback when he was asked which Lord Brahma is he who wanted to see Krishna. So this is just the forms of Brahma. Then all the different forms of Brahma from all the different universes manifest. Some with 10 heads, some with 1,000,000 heads, etc. Again, inconceivable. But each one of the Brahmas that were there wasn't aware of the other Brahmas there, except the one Brahma who came could see all the Brahmas. But each of the Brahmas that were there, each of the Lord Brahmas that came from different universes, were not aware of the presence of others, except the one Lord Brahma. So all the Lord's inconceivable mystic potency. Yeah. And for the fortunate devotees, it looked Narada, this was revealed to Narada. Narada could see, he was blessed, so he could see this. But others couldn't. All right. Someone else would like to read from text 165? Or any other comments? Yeah, go ahead.
I can read if anybody. Do you want to read, Labanga?
Go ahead, Mabjana. If you're going to
Yeah,
read,
I
read.
can read now or later or whatever.
Okay. Inconceivable indeed is the amazing energy of the Supreme Controller, but nothing can be hidden from his unalloyed devotees. Commentary. The apparently contradictory pastime of Lord can be relished only by the Lord's devotees who understand them in pure devotion. Ordinary persons cannot unravel the mysteries of Krishna's pastime, but these pastimes kindly reveal themselves to sincere devotees and allow such devotees to gradually develop exclusive devotion. Brahmaji was at first bewildered by Krishna's mystic powers, but was later enlightened. Text 166. When the one personality of Goddess simultaneously eats the items brought to him by thousands of wives, each wife sees that she has fed him first and that the only offering he's eating is hers. Comment. This is a good example of the mysterious nature of the Supreme Lord's pastime, an example taken from his loving dealings with his beloved consorts. The phenomena described in this verse occurs both in Vrindavan with the gopis, headed by Shri Radha, and in Dwarka with the queens, headed by Shri Rukmini. In both abodes, Krishna is sometimes fed at the same time by thousands of beloveds, each of whom sees him accept only her offerings. All of them are absolutely devoted to him, and so he does not want to disappoint any of them. By being specially attentive to each one individually, he expertly increases the stimulus for their love. He does this factually, not by some illusory trick. The best example of the wonderful ways the Lord receives service from his potencies are found in the pastimes of Shri Krishna, in which both his opulence and his sweetness are fully displayed. The super excellence of Krishna as the source of all avatars will be discussed in the later chapters of Sri Brhat Bhagavatamrta. To hint at this conclusion, the name Krishna has been used in this chapter in reference to Lord Narayan in texts 107, 140, 145, and 161.
All right, so we've still got some more coming in further chapters. It's going to bring it to the point of Krishna, as is mentioned, it has already been hinted at after describing all these manifestations of Krishna. Then eventually we're going to hear about the wonderful, or the actual form, the original form of Krishna. Excuse me. Yeah. From which all these other manifestations are coming from. Yeah. Okay. 167. So everyone got that? What's happening here? Each of the offerings are being made, are coming, they're coming, and Krishna is accepting their offering, and they all think that he's dealing with them first and foremost. But he's accepting from every single one of the wives, you know. Yes. Okay, continue. 167.
167. Sometimes certain energies of the Lord enter into particular jivas, who then become Sakti Avesha incarnation.
Shakti Vaishyas.
Shakti Avesha incarnation. The wise considered these empowered incarnations as good as the Lord himself.
So it means they're invested with the Shakti of the Lord. Sometimes devotees in their poetic, and not just poetic, but in their glorification of Prabhupada, you may have heard Prabhupada described as a Shakti Vaishyas incarnation as such. But Shakti Vaishyas, so it's a jiva who's invested with specific potency. Yeah. And just reading in Chaitanya Tatamrita, Lord Chaitanya, he would spread love of Godhead through his personal presence. And sometimes he would personally manifest within the body of his devotees. One of them was Nakula Brahmachari. And he became so, Lord Chaitanya manifest himself within Nakula Brahmachari, I forgot that name right. And he became mad, nicely mad, but mad with ecstatic love, and was dancing in great ecstasy and bestowing upon everyone exactly what Lord Chaitanya would give, because Lord Chaitanya appeared in his body. And in that way, he was spreading love of Godhead through his devotees by manifesting himself in them. Yeah. So Shakti Avesh. Yeah. Okay, continue. Yeah, 168.
168. The Supreme Goddess of Fortune shares in the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna. She is eternally his beloved, the concentrated embodiment of eternity, knowledge, and bliss.
Bliss.
Commentary. Mahalakshmi is the consort of Lord Narayan, who again is called Krishna in this verse, as the source of all other incarnations. Lord Narayan is superior to the other forms of Godhead, such as the Vishnus involved with material creation. He is therefore called Mahavishnu, and accordingly, his principal consort is called Mahalakshmi. Sri Vishnu Purana states, O best of Brahmanas, the goddess Lakshmi is the eternal mother of the universe. She never leaves the company of Lord Vishnu. Just as Vishnu is all-pervading, so is she. When he appears as a demigod, she appears as a goddess. And when he becomes a human man, she becomes a human woman. She accepts for herself a body that exactly corresponds to whatever body Lord Vishnu assumes. 169. She always resides on the Supreme Lord's chest and is fully dedicated to him. Her incarnations are non-different from her, just as Lord Krishna's are non-different from him. Commentary. On Swargaloka and wherever else Lord Vishnu descends, the goddess Lakshmi joins him in her incarnations. Thus, having innumerable avatars, she is equal in status to her husband. And just as he is one with, but displays an finitude of personal forms, the one Lakshmi has a limitless and elaborate hierarchy of avatars, some of them seemingly superior to others, yet all of them equally transcendental. Text 170. Among those expanses of Lakshmi is the controlling deity of all material opulence, who has great perfections at her command. But that bestower of prosperity is utterly neglected by liberated souls, by candidates for liberation, and by devotees of the Lord. Commentary. The goddess Lakshmi is glorified in many scriptures, including Srimad Bhagavatam 10:38-8. The lotus feet of the Lord are worshipped by Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods, by the goddess of fortune, and also by the great sages and Vaishnavas. Such statements indicate that she is more respected among the worshippers of the Supreme Lord than even liberated sages and pure Vaishnavas. Why then is she sometimes disparaged as material and inferior? In this verse and the next, Narad answers that doubt. Among the many expansions of the goddess of fortune, there is one Lakshmi who presides over all the opulence of the material.
Is this Durga Devi? Do you think this was been described?
That's what I was thinking. I was just going to finish and then see.
Yeah.
All
Carry
the
on.
residents of the universe, including the rulers of the various planets, owe their powers to her. Even the mystic cities of yogis proceed from her. Mumukshus, persons striving for liberation, and muktas, persons who have already achieved it, neglect this particular form of Lakshmi because the opulence she bestows are nothing but favor for sense gratification, which to genuine mumukshus and muktas are not at all attractive. Entanglement in mundane sense gratification is main obstacle to liberation. Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
giving all that opulence and that, well, material people pray to her.
Yeah, as be described in the
Lakshmi Puja, and
yeah, it's described in the Krishna book when she appears before Kamsa. It says, "You fool," and then Prabhupada describes how this form manifests in different ways and is called under different names. So let's presume that, yeah, by what's described, especially giving of material so-called benedictions in form of material prosperity, etc. That's generally why persons worship Durga, because it's said the control of the material worlds, isn't it? Oh, she's the that's just
Yeah, I think there are like
Is it?
9 forms of Durga.
9, and that's those forms are mentioned there in the Krishna book, isn't it? And different names.
Yeah.
Yeah. So perhaps it's being one of these forms is being referred to here.
Yeah.
The main point here is that just as the Lord expands, so the goddess of fortune expands. And again, these are all expansions of Radharani. If you go take it up in the other direction, we have Radha and Krishna expands as all the Narayan forms, and also similarly the Shakti Tattva expands in all the Shakti forms, which is unlimited, same as Krishna. Okay, 171 can continue. Is that right? 171?
Yep. Everywhere it is said that even new devotees are dearer to the personality of Godhead than that form of Lakshmi, who is usually very fickle. commentary.
Okay, this will be interesting. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yes. Yeah, but I remember when she wanted to go in the Ras dance, and what Krishna said to her, you can't go, you have to go as a gopi. I said, what, me? I can't go as a gopi. I mean, surrender to the gopis. And he says, I can't do that.
Yeah, she wasn't, as far as to different ways that's told. I heard it one time that she wasn't, she wasn't ready to be a cowherd girl who makes cow dung patties, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it means. You know, you go behind the cows, you pick up their stool and you mix it up and you dry it out. Now, this is the goddess Lakshmi. That's one version I've heard, that she wasn't prepared to do that. Another one I heard that she wasn't prepared to, she didn't want to give up her position as Lakshmi. But whatever the case, she wasn't prepared to do what was needed to actually become a gopi. Has anyone else heard that story? It's often told.
Yeah.
In
Yes,
different
Lakshmi, she
ways.
wanted to be a gopi and go into the rasa dance.
Yeah.
And
But she didn't want to do what the
she,
gopis.
she didn't want to let go of her opulence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That's more. Yeah, she didn't want to let go of her position.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was very young, going to India and this taking cow dung and doing the floor. It's really nice with your hand. You have a bowl
Yeah.
and with the hand you make patterns like that, the floor, you know.
Yeah, I was
Really
seeing
nice.
that in Vrindavan when I was there. And also,
Yeah, I remember doing things like that.
yeah, so that's what the gopis do, because they're gopis, which mean that gopas and gopis, they herd cows.
Yeah. Mm.
So yeah, so here everywhere it is said that even the new devotees are. I remember reading this in one of my Guru Maharaj's books as well. This point here, everywhere it is said that, yeah, this is in the book which tells the story about the Vasamuni Maharaj Ambarish, about the new devotees as in compared to the well-known established devotees. So everywhere it is said that even new devotees are dearer to the personality of Godhead than the form of Lakshmi, who is usually very fickle. So that might be the reason, but let's read. Yeah. Fickle means, what does it mean here? She's very fickle.
Chanchal.
Not steady. Not
Yeah.
steady.
Yeah, not
she,
steady.
the new devotees. I think it refers to new devotees, that they are fickle.
Oh, really? Yeah, perhaps you're right. So from who is, everywhere it is said that no devotees are dearer to the personality of Godhead than the form of Lakshmi. I don't know, I think it's referring to Lakshmi. I guess we'll
Yeah.
find out when we read it.
Yeah.
She's actually very fickle.
Yeah.
Doesn't stay in one place.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Today you are rich and tomorrow somebody else is rich.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
what it meant.
example that's normally given by devotees like Lakshmi.
Yeah.
She's very,
Yeah. So don't pray to Lakshmi. You pray to Narayan. So wherever Narayan, Lakshmi will be there.
yeah, as we understand. Right, so
Yeah.
let's see if this, let's read the commentary. So carry on, Mother.
Text 171.
No, yeah, go on.
171, right?
Yeah, you read the verse, just the commentary.
Okay. According to the Puranas and other scriptures, even neophyte, what to speak of mature, experienced devotees, are more favored by the Lord than is the material expansion of Lakshmi. Why? Because under the pretext that Durvasa cursed her, or on some other excuse that Lakshmi is always disappearing from one place and appearing in another. Thus, at any moment, she can abandon persons who have taken shelter of her. Nonetheless, because she is an incarnation of Mahalakshmi, she has many of the exalted qualities of the original goddess of fortune. Thus, we hear that during the churning of the milk ocean, when the material Lakshmi appeared from it, Lord Vishnu accepted her as his wife, and she took up residence on his chest. In contrast with this Lakshmi, the original Mahalakshmi is Lord Narayan's dearmost servant, always fully dedicated to his service. She remains on his chest eternally and is never fickle. The Lord's devotees always worship her with the greatest reverence. They never neglect her as they do her material expansion.
Okay, so let's be clear on this, what's been described here. So the original Mahalakshmi, she is not fickle. She always remains with the Lord on his chest. Yeah, she always remains. So, but the expansion, the material, could we say material expansion is fickle? And we see that practically. Yeah. Wealth doesn't often stay in one place. It was, yeah. Have I understood that correctly?
So she
So-
does go on the rastan on the chest of Vishnu, doesn't she? That mark.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a gold streak.
Yeah.
It's manifests like that way in that way. So just anyone know the curse that she received from Devasa? You know, he generally curses a lot of people. It seems like he cursed Lakshmi. I don't know of that story, unless I can't recall it. And on this here, cursed her. You know, so some pastime there. All right, can read on a bit more. 172.
Similar to the original Lakshmi, you should understand are the goddess of the earth and the other consorts of the Lord. For the Lord's creative energies are all of one category. Commentary. Narad took the liberty to digress from glorifying Lord Narayan into glorifying his consort. Now he digresses further into praise of the Lord's personal energies. Dharani, Bhumi, is Lord Narayan's second wife. There is one original, purely spiritual goddess of fortune, the Lord of the Vaikunthas, most beloved, who is always present at his side. His other energies mentioned in scriptures are all expansions of that original Mahalakshmi. Lord Shiva's consort, Durga, is also an expansion of Mahalakshmi, and so are Durga's multiple expansions with their various forms and names. The terrible goddess Chamuda, the wife of Lord Shiva's frightful expansions, Bhairava, is also an incarnation of Lakshmi, the personal energy of the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, let's just get this right. We were speaking about Durga. But Durga is the consort of Lord Shiva. So I was mentioning her as this as being, or was that Durga being spoken of earlier? But it seems not, because here we're being reminded that Durga is not a consort of Shiva, not of Lord Narayan. We got that right? His other energies mentioned in the scriptures are all expansions of that original Mahalakshmi. But so Durga is an expansion of Mahalakshmi. Okay, so that's clear. So Lord Shiva's consort Durga is also an expansion. So that's correct, of Mahalakshmi. So are Durga's multiple expansion with the various forms and names. So Mahaprabhu was mentioning that, and that's mentioned in the Krishna book. The frightful expansion on Bhairava. That's the one where she has a garland of heads.
Yes.
And she has a tongue. That's the popular one in Bengal. Her tongue is hanging out, painted red. She has fierce eyes. She's got this trident. And she has a garland of severed heads.
I think it's tomorrow is Shivaratri, if I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
mistaken.
Yes. It's Saturday, I think. I think it's Saturday.
Yeah. Some calendars say Friday.
Yeah.
Maybe
Anyway,
it's Saturday.
yeah.
Anyway, it's Tripad will, if he's there, he will put on a Abhishek
Yeah.
for him.
They do a whole thing in reception. Just looking at the calendar now.
Does he do it on the reception?
Yeah, he normally does the thing on reception. He has a DD, Lord Shiva. He has milk there. People can come in and yeah. Oh,
We just offer him prayers.
I've still got my calendar for Navadweep. So in Navadweep, it's Sikadashi today. All right. Shivaratri is, well, yeah, I think must be on Friday.
London,
Yeah.
right? Not,
Yeah.
not Mayapur.
Okay, we've got a few minutes left. Would you like to read Marvel of Angalatika? Take us
Yeah,
to
thank
7
you.
o'clock.
Text 173. Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Lakshmi is sometimes called by such various terms as Mahavibhuti, Yoga, and Yoga Maya. Commentary. These words describe the goddess Lakshmi according to her various identities and activities. In addition to these terms, she is sometimes called Prakriti, Shakti, and so on. The Mahasamhita explains, she has different names, Shri, Bu, and Durga, which respectively indicate the Supreme Soul's energy for manifesting the jivas, his personal energy of desire, and his energy of the material modes that constitute inert matter. The Shabda Mahodadi dictionary gives the following definition. Expert knowers of the science of language say that the word Maya refers to the potency of the three material modes, to knowledge, and to the personal energy of Lord Vishnu. And the Skanda Purana says, O Lord Ananta, your desire is called by various names: memory, nature, the enchanter, fate, ignorance, and the source of illusion. Yeah.
Okay, so these are all manifestations of Shakti.
174. She personifies the glorious celebration of existence, knowledge, and bliss. She is eternal, absolutely real, and without beginning or end. The essence of her identity is beyond describing. Commentary. Because Mahalakshmi is the total energy of the Supreme Truth, it is impossible to describe her completely. Text 175. She is the mother who gives birth to the varieties of ecstasy that appear during worship of the Lord. Through her, the Supreme Lord displays his different features. Commentary. The previous two verses have described the goddess Lakshmi's primary characteristics, Sarup Lakshana, and now this verse describes her secondary characteristics, Tatastha Lakshana. She is the agent who manifests the many varieties of charm and sweetness in the Lord's devotional service. Although the devotees of the Lord are one with him in the sense that they too have purely spiritual identities, both the Lord and his devotees have unique individual qualities. The jivas and the personality of Godhead both belong to the same category, Brahman, but the jiva Brahma differs from the para Brahma as rays of light differ from the sun. In a similar way, devotional service to the Supreme Brahman is one, but displays numerous varieties, by which the devotees taste newer and newer sweetness at every moment during his worship. It is the Lord's consort Lakshmi who displays all the varieties of the Supreme Person and his devotional service. He is the ultimate truth, one without a second, yet he has innumerable forms. He is both one and many. He has countless varieties of beauty and charm, and countless varieties of pastimes, each one full of diversity. All of this is forever manifest as substantial reality with the help of the goddess Lakshmi. Yeah. Text 176. Thus the distinct varieties of the Lord's devotees, of his devotional service, of his world, and of his activities constantly arise from Lakshmi. Commentary. The Lord has many devotees like Sri Shesha and Garuda. His devotional service has many forms like hearing and chanting. His abode, Sri Vaikuntha, has a multitude of opulences, and he engages in many different activities. Lakshmi is the energy of the Lord through whom all this variety is manifest. Without her participation, the other energies of the Lord could not be displayed in diversity because they are basically one with him as pure spirit.
Well, it's quite the first time I'm hearing this detail of the position of Mahalakshmi. Yeah. It seemed the different varieties of the Lord's devotees, his devotional service of this world, and the activities constantly, it all arises from Lakshmi. It's all the potency of Lakshmi, and also the previous verse. Here, it gives birth to varieties of ecstasy. That's all coming from Lakshmi. And through her, the Lord displays these different features. It's all the potency of Mahalakshmi. Okay, so okay, perhaps read this one as well. Did you?
I mean, she seems to be doing quite a lot.
Yeah, that's what
what
I'm.
is
That's what's
like?
being said here. Yeah.
What is she like? So are we dealing with Mahalakshmi a lot while we're doing our devotional service? How is that working? Like when we're offering devotion to Krishna and she's in the middle somehow manifesting as.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it seems like it could be a study in of itself. I think, yeah, we don't really here. We're being told that actually it's quite extensive. Is her mercy and her potency is making everything possible for a devotee. Even the specific types of devotion, because I guess she in her ultimate form, she is her ultimate form was Radha, say. She is the one from whom all different manifestations of service is actually coming. And she's
so that would be
serving him.
Radha then.
Ultimately, Mahalakshmi is an expansion of Radha. And I
So-
think that might be described later on.
Oh, okay. Text 176. Thus the distinct varieties of. I've read that one, yeah. Have I?
Just thinking, it's a bit of a mundane example, but just thinking of a husband and wife. You know, the wife say the house is the universe. It's the wife who's taking care of the house, taking care of all the guests and things like that in a natural type of relationship. You know, how everything is organized, how everything is arranged, and etc., etc. That's all done by the Shakti.
It's true,
In the traditional sense of the term. Huh?
Like you say mundane, it's true, like mundane thing. A house run by a wife, a woman, is run better than a house run by a man.
Yeah, so perhaps that's what's being explained here. So
like-
the whole material world is the house of the Lord, and Mahalakshmi is the, she's the wife of the Lord. So she's the one who's making sure everything's working and in place for service to her worshipful Lord. So that's one way we may look at it or try to understand. But yeah, so if anyone wants to do a study on Mahalakshmi, this is a place to go to. Brhat Bhagavatamrta.
Let's find,
Yeah, let's just look at this next. Well, okay, just read this one more. Yeah.
Okay, 176. Thus the distinct varieties of the Lord's devotees of his devotional service. Oh, we've read this one, no?
Did we just read? Did we read the commentary?
The Lord has many devotees like Sri Shesha and Garuda. His devotional service has many forms like hearing and chanting. His abode, Sri Vaikuntha, has a multitude of opulences, and he engages in many different activities. Lakshmi is the energy of the Lord through whom all this variety is manifest. Without her participation, the other energies of the Lord could not be displayed in diversity because they are basically one with him as pure spirit. As the word Shada in this verse indicates, the unfolding of the transcendental variety is eternal and ever expanding. In the words of Sri Vishnu Samhita, she expands into three energies: the energy of desire, the energy of knowledge, and the energy of action. No difference can ever be found between the energy and its possessor. At the end of the second chapter, the nature of variety within the Absolute Truth has already been elaborately discussed. In short, Lord Narayana has various associates by his side, like Shesha, the son of Kadru, and Garuda, the son of Vinata. Sri Narayana's Vaikuntha appears in the material world in various forms, like Swetadweep and Ramapriyaloka. Various tastes appear in the different limbs, angas, of his devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting. In his diverse pastimes, he displays a host of wonderful qualities, like his passionate concern for his devotees. And in his highest abode, he enjoys himself in various ways, such as drinking his mother's breast milk, crawling on the ground, and playing children's games.
Okay. All right. So perhaps that's enough to try and understand for today.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Quite
Try
a
and-
bit
Try and
to take in.
digest that. All right. So let's pick it up from next week. Yeah, going in a different direction. Pure servants of the Lord understand her and their activities. Okay, but persons whose mind are confused by dry knowledge, derived from bad logic cannot figure out what she is. So that's us, or that's me. Not figure out. All right, let's pause there. So thank you, everyone, for this reading, Brhat Bhagavatamrta, and please join us next week, and we'll continue.
Are we going to do next
Go.
week? Are we going to do 4 days, like Bhagavad Gita, Tuesday, Wednesday, or have we got something on Tuesday?
No, we can go back to that if we like. That way we can get through Bhagavad Gita a little bit more swiftly. Not that it's a rush.
Yes.
Yeah, because the only reason I couldn't do Tuesday because I could only do one class that day and I already had one lined up. So I can do, yeah, so let's try for that next.
Okay.
Monday is Sankabha Kamudi, then Tuesday and Wednesday Bhagavad Gita, then Thursday Brhat Bhagavatamrta. So get back to our normal schedule. Okay?
Great.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Brhat
Praise one Lord, Prabhu
Bhagavatamrita
ki jai.
Lord Premanandi, Hari Hari, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.